Hi, we're here on location at the Casa del Mar Hotel in Santa Monica, California, and we're waiting on the great director of sports films such as Bull Durham and White Men Cant Jump and Tin Cup, Ron Shelton. He'll be with us shortly. Hi, I'm here with the greatest sports filmmaker in the history of motion pictures. With credits such as the critically acclaimed and cult classic Bull Durham, White Men Cant Jump, and Cobb, Ron Shelton, welcome to the show.
What about Tin Cup?
And Tin Cup.
There you go.
The greatest golf movie since Caddyshack.
And arguably the only golf movie ever made.
I know you spent 5 years with the Baltimore Orioles farm system. You made it to AAA. How does it feel to have been a professional athlete and then a director doing sports films?
Well, that was a long time ago, Stumpy, to quote a line of Tommy Lee Jones in Cup. I think sports just prepares you for almost anything, because sports is basically learning to live with failure and the ups and downs and getting your ass handed to you every day. So, if you do that for a living, I think you can kind of do anything. But my love was always storytelling and movies and writing. So, in that regard, it was a natural evolution.
And when you were playing baseball, and I guess when you made that decision that, okay, it's time to hang it up and do something else, what was the motivating factor behind that?
Well, I didn't really make the decision to quit in the sense that it was made for me. There was a strike of 1972.
Okay.
When I was in AAA, and I'd been in AAA for a year and a half, and I wasn't going anywhere in the Oriole organization, and there was no spring training, and many people thought the season would be canceled. So I decided it was time to, I couldn't sit it out anymore. Minor league players don't make enough money to get through the winter. So,
right.
So I went back to school.
Okay. Well, now for all our audience, and they want to know, Ron Shelton, who's huge in sports?
Well, we're living in the age of Michelangelo, and his name is Eldrick Tiger Woods. And for those of you and us who wonder, what was it like to see Ty Cobb or Babe Ruth play? Well, this is what it is. It's Tiger Woods. He simply dominates a sport which has never been more popular among young athletes. There's more good golfers than there's ever been. It's an international sport, and he plays at a different level, not just physically but mentally. And he's the smartest player. He's the toughest player. He's the most prepared player. He's the most clutch player. He's so good that when he doesn't win, it's news. He's so good that when he's out of it, the TV keeps cutting away to him. Right. He's so good when you're in the pro shop after a round of golf and you didn't watch the tournament, everybody says, how did Tiger do? And that's how good he is. And your 2-year-old crawling around on the floor recognizes it. That's Tiger. Right. So he is a genius in his sport.
And he is still so young and really still in the prime of his career. Do you think that he has anything left to prove?
Well, he has a lot left to prove to himself. He wants to beat Jack Nicklaus's record, and he needs 4 more majors to tie it. So
he is the Ty Cobb, but he still has work to do to be in the consideration of the Jack Nicklaus and players like that.
No, he's already in that league, obviously. I think right now, if his career ended through some injury or something, they'd say Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods are the 2 greatest. The records prove it, but he would like to have it be Tiger Woods as number 1 and Jack is number 2. But Jack just beat the heck out of you and ground it out. Tiger has a certain kind of movie star flair that Palmer had. Only very few golfers have had.
Right. Well, he sure is capitalizing on today's world of social media and endorsements and really living up to it. He seems like a gentleman of the game, and certainly someone that responds well under pressure and remains quite composed and tactful.
Well, he was the possibility of Tiger Woods was invented by another huge sports figure, obviously Michael Jordan, who was the first man ever to really understand, with some help of David Falk and others, that he was a giant business and corporation unto himself. Now, all these years after Michael Jordan's final retirement, he is the 2nd highest paid athlete in sports today. Are you aware of that? Michael Jordan makes $45 million a year now.
Still, right.
And I'm just, in fact, finishing a documentary for ESPN about on this 30-30 series, and
Excellent.
I chose the subject Jordan Rides the Bus, which is his year playing baseball in Birmingham.
Oh,
but it made me really appreciate again how he reinvented what an athlete could be.
Ron, what's on your iPod right now, or what's the?
I don't have an iPod.
Okay.
I haven't got one yet. I'm still in the 19th century, mostly because I haven't had time to figure out how to get my 1,000 albums onto it. And it's really hard for me to read that little thing. So,
Right.
and I also like the liner notes. So I'm really a Luddite in this regard. But my next purchase will be an iPod. What music do I listen to, you're asking?
Yes. What do you like? What's the first
On
thing that comes to your
vinyl?
head?
On vinyl? Well, I mean, I listen to the classics. I grew up as a jazz fan. My dad was a jazz musician, and so I didn't really listen to rock and roll in the 60s. I was listening to, to the great jazz musicians.
Miles Davis, Stan
yes,
Getz.
yeah, and Duke Ellington, and the great singer Sarah Vaughan, and Dinah Washington. I probably, these days, I'm listening to Dinah Washington more than anybody.
Okay.
But I always am listening to Sinatra, and I'm always listening to Ellington, and the great pianists from Art Tatum to on. So I kind of, I don't fit into to the big sale kiosk at the record stores. I still am looking for record stores. They don't exist. I hate to buy music online. So I'm really from another era in that regard.
Right. Well, and there's hopefully more music to be picked for your films, because I believe you're working on some things right now, and I understand another sports film, and I'm sure your fans will be happy to hear about that.
Well, I believe we're very close to going to Mexico. I just got back from Mexico to shoot my first baseball movie since Bull Durham. It's called Our Lady of the Ballpark, and God willing, we'll be shooting it in the spring. It's about a pitcher for the Yankees who ends up in the Mexican League, and with all the wonderful cultural conflicts and blessings that go with that endeavor. And I have a golf movie called Q School.
Okay.
I have I have a series that we just sold to cable television about the golden age of auto racing in the 50s and 60s, and the kids from Santa Monica, Phil Hill and Phil Shelby, who moved here, and Dan Gurney and Richard Ginter, and all those guys who were basically hot rodders who went over and took on the best European drivers in Le Mans and Formula One. And there's always a few other things, like the Game of Shadows we've developed, the book about steroids. So yeah, I've been a little busy, but hopefully the baseball in Mexico will be the next one.
Well, that sounds exciting. I'm really happy to hear you've got a lot on your plate and going full force. I really appreciate you being here and participating in the show. I have to say that you have really been a great friend to me and a mentor, and I feel grateful to have worked with you on 2 of your films, Dark Blue and Hollywood Homicide, and those were great experiences for me, and I thank you so much, Ron, for being on the show.
Well, I'm just happy to be here and hope I can help the ball club.
You absolutely are.
Thank you.
And I'm Gregg Marc Miller for Who's Huge in Sports.